Hi class! Today I want to talk about the effects of media attention on serial murderers. Do you think that the media attention given to serial murderers can have an effect on the actions of those committing the murders? Now, according to the FBI website, a serial killer is one who commits a number of murders over a long period of time, with the killings separated by periods of normalcy. Serial killers are not to be confused with mass murderers or spree killers. A mass murderer is one who kills several people during a large event, and a spree killer is one who kills several people over a short period of time at different locations. Now, looking back at the last 20 years, it's clear that the media attention given to serial killers can have a great effect on the actions of those committing the murders. While the people in the communities need to be informed, it can become sensational. Also, the media can be a motivation for the serial killer to commit additional killings. While the media is supposed to be there as a resourceful tool for law enforcement, they seem to be more resourceful for the serial killer than they are actually for law enforcement. Now, media comes in several different forms. It can come in the form of a news story, it can come in the form of a book, it can come in the form of a website, and more recently it comes in forms of movies and television shows. Now, if you go on Google and you do a keyword search for the word serial killer, you're going to get about 18 million results in just a few milliseconds. This just goes to show you how much information is out there about serial killers and how much information the media puts out there about serial killers. Now, according to Steve Edgar, the author of The Killings Among Us, there are 6 myths that continue to dominate our thoughts on serial killers. I want to mention 3 of those myths. So myth number 1. Serial killers prey on anyone who crosses their path and spend no time at all selecting their victims. Myth number 2. All killers had terrible childhoods, were beaten by their parents, and were sexually abused. And myth number 3. Serial killers want to get caught. Now, before doing my research, I would have believed all of these myths. I had no idea. I actually thought all of these were true until I got into my research, and they are, in fact, myths. These myths are false, yet they continue to dominate how we think, largely in part to the media. Now, Edgar also writes, these myths make understanding the killers and catching them all the more difficult. It seems that society, the audience of the media, gets so tied up in the entertainment that they forget to find out the facts. Now, it's no doubt that once you're famous, it's hard to let go of that fame. Media gives serial killers that fame, a boost of confidence, the energy to commit more killings. The most notorious killers out there, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, the Zodiac Killer, these killers have a name for themselves in America. Have you heard of any of these names? I'd bet a lot of you know a lot of these names, and I'd bet a lot of you know a lot about these people and the murders that they committed and how they did them. A lot of you would probably answer that you know more about these serial killers than you do about, say, Albert Einstein. And this is largely in part to the media. Now, let's take a look at the Zodiac Killer. He thrived off of media attention, sending his name in a series of taunting letters to the press. The media gave him a name. You no longer need a face for everybody in the communities to know who you are, because you have a name, the media puts it out there, and we all know who you are. That brings me to some stage names. Jack the Ripper. The media gave this name. The Boston Strangler. The media gave this name. These names glorify and promote the killer, leaving the community to be fearful. Now let's talk about media and law enforcement. Now, if you go to the FBI website, they talk about how the media really isn't very helpful for them. In number 9, under media issues in serial murder investigations, they write, the constant news attention on investigations inevitably results in conflicts with law enforcement. Often the relationship between the media and law enforcement is not a close one. From the law enforcement perspective, the media publishes unauthorized information from investigations, hypothesizes on investigative progress, and uses talking heads to critique the investigative efforts. So, as you can see from that small expert on the FBI website, law enforcement and the media do not have a friendly relationship. And they should, because the media should be there to get the word out and to help law enforcement catch the killer. Now, there's also a letter from Jack the Ripper that was written to law enforcement. This is a prime example of how the media is revealing too much key information. Because of the media, the killers are always one step ahead. Now, I'm not going to read this letter to you because it's far too long, but if you look it up on Google, you can find the exact letter. And Jack the Ripper, he manipulates the police from information that he received through the media. And if it weren't for the media, he probably would have been caught. On the opposing side of this, the media does give out information for the communities to be caution, but they need to be more of a help to law enforcement, and right now they're not. You can now see the major effects that the media can have on serial killers, and the ones that were mentioned were only a few. There's far more. Remember, 18 million results in just a few milliseconds. While the news media will always be around, keep in mind that the information may not be correct. Know your facts, and that's all. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.